Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here to talk about Love Meg once again. I had a little update directly from her husband Justin on some of his thoughts surrounding this, what I think could be a potential bad situation for their dog Molly. So we're going to talk about it. If you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, I know that this topic is really hard for a lot of y'all to listen to, and I understand it's very hard for me to talk about and cover as well, but this is just absolutely insane. And based on my knowledge, I don't know of a lot of other influencers that have been involved in something like what Justin and Meg are doing. I know that there has been things like with Brooke Houts where it was, you know, her mistreating her dog and it was very obvious. With what they're doing with Molly is standing on a hill saying, this is the best thing for our dog. Nobody else knows anything. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. But then when you actually do research into what professionals think about putting a senior dog in the cargo area of a plane, you will see the opposite opinion. And that is the one that I have, as well as what many other people are saying about this and why it is a cause for concern. Despite it being a really tough topic, it's an important one to talk about, because if nobody talks about it, then Meg and Justin are just going to point at all the quote haters and say, oh, you guys are just totally wrong, kick rocks, you don't know what you're talking about. And they might do that anyway, but it's also important to have a place where y'all can vent your concerns, and right now I'm happy to provide it on my channel in my comments section. So he posted on Instagram stories and said, I know Love Meg has clarified this many times, but I will answer it here for anyone who thinks we are strapping the dogs to the wings or something. I don't think anyone thought that. I think that people are very worried, for good reason, for a senior dog to be put into the cargo area. I also want to just go ahead and say in the beginning of this video that I am very worried for both of their dogs, without a doubt. But when you look at the age difference between their two dogs, there is more concern for Molly because of her age and just where she's at in her life than there is for their younger dog, Bailey. And so there's concern for both, but if we're going to divvy it up, I would say that there's a little bit more being put on Molly because of her age, and tell me if y'all disagree down below. He continued and showed a screenshot of a message that said, would you accept donations to fly the dogs privately if you can't afford that part of it? I'm sure Meg's supporters would be willing to donate, including myself. And I'll include the clip again, but Justin's the one that said that he found this different airline that would put the dogs on a flight where they weren't put in cargo. And this company actually had vets and dog people on staff to get their dogs over to Germany safely. And this is a company that would do it for in between $500 and $1,000. And I'm not sure if that was per dog or for both dogs.
That was one thing that I was like, if the dogs have to be quarantined, it's a deal breaker. Like, I'm not going to do that to them. But Justin looked it up.
It turns out they don't have to be. They have to get like all their shots, and they have to have the chip thing in their ear. You know, so they get like a puppy passport. Yeah, they do a blood test on them and stuff. And they get like a little puppy passport for, for getting around. But
yeah, and Justin even found like an airline that is like,
they transport pets. Is what they do. You know, so they even have like vets on staff there.
They can
bring
sedate
dogs in. They do all their health checks, and then once they fly them over, then they do more health checks over there with the vet and everything, so that you know everything's fine with them. So it's not just like when you take them on your airplane, like a regular airplane flight over. You know, this is like they're set up just for this.
A little bit nicer for them. Yeah,
it
makes them a little bit more comfortable and stuff. So, and it actually wasn't that expensive either. Because when Justin was telling me about it, I was like, that sounds real bougie. Like, how much does that cost? And how much was it?
It wasn't. Was it $500? I can't. Something like that.
Yeah.
I have to look it back up.
You told me 1,000, so I don't know if it was for So I mean, that's less than a plane ticket for us to get over there. So I was like, wow, that's really worth it. The visas. Tell them, about the Schengen country.
But either way, let's just say that it's $2,000. That's a small fee to pay, especially considering how many times Meg and Justin want to stomp up and down and tell everybody how abundantly wealthy they are. So much so that Meg is now giving out life coach advice, financial advice, how to be an influencer, and we all have our own opinions about that. I think that it's an absolute sham. But how dare you act like it is just too expensive to the point where it's not even being considered now. And that would have been in your dog's best interest to, if you're going to take both of them, make sure that they arrive safely. And not only do they arrive safely, but they arrive without having to be put through trauma and stress and being in the underbelly of a plane when there's things like turbulence, weather, delays. And let's also talk about real quick before I continue, the fact that the dogs are not going to have a bathroom break. So this is not a flight where there's a layover and they let the dogs roam free on some ranch in, the middle of the United States for an hour. They're going from New York to Germany. No layover, no break for 8 hours. And that's 8 hours with no delays. Having a delay with your flight, especially when it's international, is not unheard of. So let's just say that by the time a possible delay happens, we're looking at 9 or close to 10 hours. And the dogs are in the cargo area and have not had a break. And even if they are given some medication to help take the edge off and relax them a little bit, that only solves a very small portion, and it's not guaranteed that those medications will work the same for every dog. Some dogs might need a higher dose, and how will they know? They're in the cargo. Meg and everyone else are seated as normal passengers. So I have an idea. Why don't we give Meg and Justin seats to their 2 dogs and put them in the cargo space? I think that's a really good idea. Fair is fair, right? Thanks for your concern, but no. To fly privately means that we would have to charter a private jet. That cost would likely be around $200K, but that is a guess. Dogs fly as checked baggage on nearly every commercial flight every day. Yes, but most dog owners that are not nimwits know that when their dog reaches a certain age, having them fly for pleasure is something completely different when you have a senior dog. It's also extremely common and also safe. Now, you can't say that it's always safe because, as I said in my last video, which I'll link down below, the stats are showing that there are more and more dogs that are arriving at their destination airports deceased, injured, or lost, and that number continues to tick up. So, Justin, you want to talk about everyone not knowing what the hell they're talking about? Let's talk about your stats that you're just saying that this is something that is super common and super safe. You might want to check your data and recollect your thoughts before you put something like this out that makes it sound like you really know what you're talking about when the facts would show that in fact you don't. Certain dogs, due to their respiratory structure and health concerns, aren't allowed, but most dogs are perfectly fine. And he's talking about dogs like French bulldogs, English bulldogs, dogs that have a shorter snout, and they typically are not approved. The other thing that I have understood from y'all that have gone through this process before is also that the dog has to be fully cleared to fly right before the flight. So if they got some sort of authorization 4 or 5 months ago from their vet that Molly could fly, that's going to have to be renewed based on what I understand. And of course, tell me if I'm wrong down below. But I think that the certification has to be done like 15 to 30 days before the flight so that the vet can say, yes, I recently saw this dog and I still agree with giving this approval for them to fly. And I hope that their vet also knows that Molly is going to be in the cargo area. This is not a dog that is just going to be, sitting in the cabin with Meg and Justin. And some people were saying, well, because of the dog's size, it's a little bit different. here's what I'll say about that. Meg and Justin have known about this for months. This has been the plan for months. And there are certain processes that you can go through in order to have your dog fly with you in the cabin and not in the cargo area of the plane. And on top of it, as we heard Justin say earlier in this video, they were going to have the dogs, you know, flown with this company that flies dogs, and there would have been a vet on staff and all of that good stuff. So either that was a bullshit lie, what he was saying a few months ago, and he never found this company and he was just pulling things out of thin air, or the price is too much for them to pay. And I say, if it's too much for them to pay, then Molly should be able to stay in the States with a friend or family member so that she can live out her final years and not be potentially killed on an international flight by being shoved into the cargo area of a plane going to Germany. They are loaded into a special compartment in the plane. Just call it cargo. It's not special. It's the cargo area of the plane that is pressurized and climate controlled, just like the cabin we people ride in. And I do understand that it's climate controlled, but let's just say that something goes wrong mid-flight. There's no layover, so if something goes wrong mid-flight and the climate control stops working for the dogs, then that's something that you know, they're not just going to automatically figure that out, land and fix it. They're probably going to just continue flying as long as it's safe for the passengers on the plane, because they consider dogs as cargo. That's why they're in the cargo area. The only difference is we have seats, and he said I think he meant they have tie downs for their crates. We are driving to New York before the trip, so we will only take one flight from the US to Germany, no layovers. See, exactly. That's 8 hours with no delays. Let's talk about potential delays, and still the fact that even if it is 8 hours, that is a long time to expect a senior dog to go without a bathroom break. This means the dogs will only be in their crate overnight, which is how they have voluntarily slept anyway. Yes, but a dog sleeping peacefully in a crate at home where there is no turbulence, no air, no other bark, or new environments, no other barking dogs, no other crying dogs, is completely different than being overnight on a flight. They're not in their normal environment. It's not quiet. It's not peaceful. So to say, oh, well, they sleep voluntarily at their crate at home, so that's what they're going to do in the cargo area of a plane, is such a stupid and ignorant stance to take. And most people that have a brain will look at this and come to the same conclusion. And he also used the wrong version of their crate overnight, which, come on, your wife is charging $2,500 to people to be a life coach, and you're using the wrong version of their. Yikes. And then he did it again. There will be some noise. Wrong version of their. God. Just like we hear when we're flying. So our vet has prescribed anxiety meds that will help the dogs get a good night's rest on the overnight flight. And assuming that the medication actually works, because again, dosage can sometimes be a little bit different. Some dogs might need a little bit more medication. And once you're at the airport, it's way too late to call your vet and say, hey, the meds aren't working. You're just going to have to deal with what is happening in front of you. This is such a selfish, moronic decision to make for a dog who has trusted Meg and Justin with her life for almost 13 years. What a disgusting decision to make for your dog when she has trusted you for that long. And he also continued, also, again, the dogs have already been examined by the vet to cleared to travel. They will still have one more certification, vet check. Then the USDA regional office will inspect and approve them medically to travel. And those are the ones that I worry about, because their vet said okay months ago. And as I'm sure all of us know, a dog that is 12 years old, their health can change day to day, week to week. I hope that this last certification, it's a vet who has a little bit of, you know, wherewithal to stand up to Meg and Justin and say, I do not suggest putting this dog in the cargo area of the plane. And I hope that they're not able to take Molly. As bad as that sounds, they're obviously not making the decision that is in the best interest of their dog, who has trusted them with her life for almost 13 years. And this is how she is repaid when she's 12 years old. This is how the process works. And so far, according to our USDA accredited vet who has seen our dogs at least twice a year for the last 3 years, there's zero reason they shouldn't be just fine. I mean, a vet's opinion is not going to guarantee that the dog is going to get there safely. There is no way that a vet can look at a dog and say, this dog is definitely going to be okay, shoved in the cargo area of an international flight. If someone does have a couple $100,000 laying around, I won't turn it down though. LOL. Whatever. We only require one stewardess for the journey, and I like Moet champagne. Piss off, Justin. How about them apples? So then he goes on to continue with his rant and says, he's talking about me. Here's the thing. Last time Meg shouted my channel out by name, I gained almost 500 subscribers in 24 hours. So this time they're realizing that they probably shouldn't do any free advertising for me, because here's the thing. We don't all have to agree on everything. But one thing that most people agree on is the fair treatment of pets and putting your pet's best interest first and taking care of your dog when they have trusted you for X number of years or weeks, however old they are. That's something that most people agree on, and they didn't want to send people over to my channel to see that my video was actually fact-based and came from the stance of someone who is someone who would absolutely die for my dog, and I would not think twice, and his best interest always comes first, and it always will. And I mean that with everything that I have in me. There is nothing that will ever come across my plate or into my life where I will put him in jeopardy, put his well-being in jeopardy, put his health at risk. Because when I say that he is the center of my universe, I mean that with every single fiber of my being, and I will stand on it for the rest of time, for eternity. And that's just who I am. So I can say that with confidence. But they didn't want to give me a free ad. Too bad. I mean, hey, if people want to know who they're talking about, they will come across commentary videos that have been made about Meg and her being a bad dog owner. So he continued and said, I know that there are some people out there with a blog camera. It's actually a vlog, Justin, you should know that. And a social media account that are sure they know more about our dogs than our licensed veterinarian and us. The ones who see the dogs every single day and snuggle them and feed them and play with them and love them. But it's simply not true. They have created a false fantasy narrative that anyone who travels with a dog is stupid and or evil. They took that from my video. And that they know more than we do about our dogs. Common knowledge is not knowing more than you do about your dogs. Going off of things that professionals say about putting a senior dog in the cargo area of a plane, looking at the data that is shared from actual commercial, airline companies about the dogs that arrive at their destination that are either deceased, injured, or lost. That is not a fantasy. That's not something that's just made up for entertainment value. If you want to go down that road and you're trying to say that everyone's lying, then good luck with that. But most of us can look at this situation and say that it is just not in the dog's best interest to be put in the cargo area of a fucking plane. Period. Especially, there's no layover, there's no bathroom break, and anyone who has ever had a senior dog knows that these dogs require a little bit more time outside. They require a couple of extra breaks per day because they are aging and they need that. They just need more frequent bathroom breaks, and that's not something that you have to be a veterinarian to know. Meg and Justin are the same people that will say that people aren't allowed to have an opinion about stupid parenting if you don't have kids. And we've had that conversation before. Having a little bit of common logic and being able to look at something and say, I don't agree with that. I don't really know if that's the best thing ever. There's nothing wrong with that. Welcome to the internet. Meg, you're supposed to be the one who is training everyone on how to be an influencer, and this is how y'all deal with people who are genuinely worried sick about your dog? This is how you react. Everyone's a bad guy. Everyone's living in Fantasy Island. No, I think that they're just people that truly care about dogs and are not just putting dog obsessed in their Instagram profile to make it look like they're something that they're clearly not. Molly seems to be the big concern, so I'll address that. Molly has been run over twice in her lifetime and bounced right back fast. She broke her femur and was walking on it the next day to the shock of the vet, who told us that she would just struggle to walk. The most amazing thing is that we have seen more life and joy in Molly over the last 2 weeks of traveling than we have seen in her for a long time. Now, I know that they wanted to put up their little beach video and use sounds from Marley and Me and all of this kind of stuff. Guess what? When you're a neglectful dog owner, that movie does not resonate with people who are like Meg and Justin.
Fancy cars or big homes or designer clothes, a waterlogged stick will do just fine. A dog doesn't care if you're rich or poor, clever or dull, smart or dumb. Give him your heart and he'll give you his. How many people can you say that about? How many people can make you feel rare and pure and special?
Now, secondly, I want to talk about this, taking your senior dog to the beach and letting them run around with no leash and, go for walks and go on trails and go in Airbnbs is something completely different than putting them in the cargo area of a plane. That is going to be 8+ hours, 8 hours minimum, with no layover and no break. Do not try to correlate your dog running around on the beach having a good time to being able to survive an 8+ hour international flight in a crate in the cargo area of the plane. They don't coexist, period. On the flip side, we have gotten more messages over the last 2 weeks telling us how awful we are, you misspelled awful, Justin, for traveling with her than we have ever gotten. Do you see what I mean by a false fantasy narrative? First, we were wrong for taking her to the mountains, and then everyone saw she was happy. Then we were wrong for taking her to the beach, and then everyone sees she's happy. Now we're wrong for taking her flying next month. The false fantasy will do anything it has to prove it is right, even if the message has to change a million times. I don't know who he's talking about here. Do I think that it's the best idea ever to leave your dog in a new environment while you go tour around town? Maybe not. Maybe, when they're most comfortable at home in their own backyard and all of that kind of stuff. That's not even my concern. My main concern this entire time has been putting a senior dog on a flight in the cargo area, now that we have learned that she's definitely going in the cargo area, and then trotting all around Europe, staying in different Airbnbs, It's a lot for a senior dog to go through, but first and foremost, and this is my number one concern, way ahead of anything else, that dog going in the cargo area of the plane is a potential death sentence for that dog. All things considered, she might be the healthiest 12-year-old lab that you've ever seen. That does not guarantee that she will be okay on this prolonged flight in the cargo area in a crate on drugs. That's not a guarantee that she is going to arrive safely. And what if she arrives and she's injured? Or, you know, something else happens. I will drag Meg and Justin every single day for the next year if something happens to Molly because they put her on this flight. Mark my words right now, it will not stop. It will not end. And my antennas are up because I want to see Molly make it there safe. That is the only thing that I want out of this. I want her to arrive safe, healthy, happy, all of the good things. And if those things are not met because of the decision that they have made with this, I will drag both of them and I will not stop. I will put this out there as Love Meg has already. Molly is getting older. We plan to be over there for a couple of years, so the likelihood that she passes away on this trip is pretty good. We understand that and accept it. All living things die at some point. Oh, what a prolific quote, Justin. We will cry and we will mourn, but we will smile when we think back of how happy she was chasing the deer in the mountains and trying to surf at the beach and whatever other fun memories she creates on this journey. If you're truly concerned about her, go check out the video Megan is posting today. You'll see Molly having the best day of her life. And spoiler alert, that's just the video of her running around on the beach, which I will address that one more time. Having a dog run around on a beach is not the same thing as putting the dog on a long flight to Germany in the cargo area. So let's stop trying to play Connect 4 with those things because they're not even on the same wavelength. Having a dog run around and have a really good time in a new environment off a leash is really fulfilling. But guess what? When that short little chunk of the day is over, they get to come home and rest and relax. Being put in the crate in the cargo area of the plane is not a short beach trip or a short hike in the woods or a picnic in the mountains. That is a really, really, really long extended period of time where the dog does not have a bathroom break. They are not with their owners, most importantly. They're going to wonder, where are my owners? Why am I in this crate? Yes, I know this crate, but when I look outside my crate door, I don't see the master bed where my owners are sleeping. I see another dog. I see a blank wall. I see whatever. So I think that trying to make these things make sense is only making them look like idiots. And I really worry about Molly. I really do. I have thought about her every single day since they confirmed that she's going in the cargo area of this flight. I really worry about her, and I just don't understand how you can legitimately say my dog is my world and we're giving her all these good adventures and stuff, and voluntarily put her through the stress that this is potentially going to put her through. So we'll see what happens with this. I think they're both bullshit artists. I don't think that they're going to do anything that doesn't serve them, their goals, their wants, their desires. And my heart breaks for Molly, and it also is aching for Bailey because it's stressful for both dogs. But as I said, when you bring their ages into the equation, I I don't know, guys. I have a really bad feeling about this. I really, really do. And my bad feeling might not count for a whole lot, but I will continue to think about Molly, and I will continue to, keep her in my thoughts. And I hope that there is someone who puts a stop to this before it can actually happen. And I guess we'll just have to see how it unfolds. But that's going to be it for now. If you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. See you guys soon. Bye.